Hey, what's up, players? This is Hall of Famer Teddy Long, and right now we're getting ready to have a six-pack challenge match with Potsy and Tino on the big podcast show. Holla at a player.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Potsy Pants Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Potsy and Tino Show. As always, our theme song is always brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. And you already got something?
Yeah, what is this? What?
That's a zit, man. It's a zit.
Oh, I was looking. I thought you.
It's a like, massive zit.
I thought maybe you cut yourself shaving or something.
No, I haven't shaved in a while. No, so I think what it is here. We'll go ahead and we'll just go right into what's up with you with it.
What's up, Joe?
It's a massive zit, and I think it's caused by my CPAP machine.
I never got one of those for my CPAP machine.
Well, I get ingrown hairs all the time, right? So, like all the extra, like having the thing up real tight on the face, like I sweat in it now. So
do you have the Top Gun mask, or do you have the one that goes over your
no
nose?
it's just this one, but it's still like catches like, right around here, and the thing goes right around here.
The strap. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. I think it's causing some issues with that. But it's funny because like I normally don't have face breakouts or anything. So like when I get them, I get like one massive one, and it's like you know, like there's actually a universe on my face, you know, like.
So I thought you were gonna say you had the monkeypox.
No, God, no. I haven't done anything to be able to get that, man. So, you know, because apparently you actually have to have sex with monkeys to be able to transfer that.
No, don't start spreading that stupid shit.
Well, I mean that is how it actually got passed the first time, from what I heard. So, anyways,
not.
What's going on, Guts? I mean, guys, what's up, Michael Turner?
Yes, what's up, Guts?
Tino, what's up with you, man? I know you're not feeling well, so yeah. we'll go ahead and get this rolling.
I not much. So last week I think last Thursday started getting like a tickle in my throat. So I'm like, whatever. But then, you know, we had the youth retreat for the kids, the staycation, which was a blast. A lot of late nights. So let's see, it was Friday, you know, they got together, they played, we ate, and then they did the worship, and they had the service, and then we went back to the host homes and we did all that stuff, and they went to bed at 1 the first night. Yeah. Then Saturday night, got up early. We went to a low-income housing community, and then we had that was part of our service, you know, the acts of service. So we went there, we set up, we had inflatables, we had food, we had music, we had a whole bunch of school supplies to hand out, and clothes and things like that. Then went back to the host house, took a shower, and rested. Now, when they went off to the pool and did all this other cool stuff, Nicole and I snuck out and we went and saw Kevin Hart, and he was phenomenal. He was hilarious. Got back to the host home again. It was 1 o'clock, and then got up Sunday, went to church, and blah 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 blah. So all weekend, I probably had a total of 6 hours of sleep all weekend. That's all weekend. Friday, Saturday. And so Sunday, I'm like, I'm just gonna go home and take a nap. And Sunday is when it hit me. I was congested, and I could feel it in my throat, and I was hoarse. I couldn't talk, and I had to cough and sneeze. I'm like, well, so I took the COVID test, the home test. It was negative, so it is a cold. So I'm like, all right.
I didn't know those still existed.
But you can get. I didn't either. And so Sunday,
I thought it was COVID or nothing at this point.
Sunday, I went to bed. Sunday night, went to bed.
You wet the bed?
Went to bed early. I got in the bed Sunday night, probably about 9-10, and woke up promptly at 2:15 a.m. and could not go back to sleep.
I hate that, man.
I had to be in the office Monday. So I went to work, and then I got off. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I had to pick up some prescriptions from Target, so I'm like, look, I got the Mucinex, the full strength, whatever it's the day and the night. So I'm like, all right. So I took that Mucinex at nighttime, and so it's good for 4 hours. I'm like, well, fuck. So I was in the bed again last night. I was trying to watch Raw. I ended up finishing it. I'll tell you. So I was trying to watch Raw. Fell asleep on it. I probably fell asleep. Last time I looked at the clock, it was 10:30. Yeah, I saw that. It was 30. Woke up again, 2:10 this morning. Could not go back to sleep. So I'm like, hey, I'll fucking finish Raw. So I finished watching Raw. Excuse me. Went to work today. Dragged ass, but I was taking the day stuff all day, trying to, and got home. I went into work for a few hours, and about 11, I'm like, you know what? I'm going back home, and I got my recliner and slept, and so now I feel a little better, but it's starting to sit on me again. I filled this thing up at least a good 5 times. I've been drinking water like it's my damn job.
So you might wet the bed tonight.
Nah, no, I'm pretty good. When my bladder says yo, I wake up and I'm like, all right, let's go.
I'll tell you, with the CPAP, that's the hardest thing for me now, is because I don't want to have to turn the machine off, pop the thing off, and
yes.
Like, I hate that, man.
You know what I do? I'm lazy. So you know how it connects to the host of the machine. I just unconnect that and walk around like an elephant. I don't give a shit.
Well, the one on the top of my head, you just pop it out.
Yeah, so yours is different than mine. You just pop it out, walk, and leave the mask on your head.
Yeah, exactly. So this morning I did it like 5 a.m. I got up and I was like, and I'm sitting there trying to breathe through my nose still while I got the thing on, and there's no air coming through it. So it's like, you can't do it. You're like, and then I'm like, all right, now I got a dry mouth. Now I got to drink some water. And I'm sitting there going, I can't breathe while I'm drinking water. But
Chris Bear is trying to get me to overdose
on Mucinex.
You see what he put?
Yeah. Hey, so funny story about the CPAP, by the way, because I know you don't want to be on super long, but when I was in San Diego and I was rooming with Billy Parker from one of the guys that worked on Junior High Horrors with me, he was like, oh, you got the CPAP, how's it working? And I'm like, well, I've had it like 3 days at that point, right? And he goes, so how does it work? And I'm like, well, it heats up water and basically humidifies as it sends air down your throat, so that way, you just keep your passages open. And he goes, so you're basically like sending vapor down your throat. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like,
well, that is because the reason why you snore and stuff, because that closes up, so that constant
right, the constant pressure is actually keeping that open. Yeah. But he's like, so Rob, I know you like to drink. Have you used it and put alcohol in the reservoir instead of water? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I was like, man, I wonder how many people actually do that shit.
I never thought about it.
Like because it heats it up, so it ends up becoming a vapor and it's sending the air down. Like, dude, you would get so drunk so fast off of that. Like you could even make a mixture of like 1 shot of alcohol and like a lot of water, and it would still like fuck you up because it would be vapor, which would go right into the bloodstream like instantly.
This is how I know you're going to try this shit.
I am not.
You are going to try this shit.
And I'll tell you why. Because I don't like anything going up my nose. So even just having like the water air pressure and stuff going up my nose, like it annoys me. But no, so I won't be. Yeah, alcohol poisoning. Hey, there's worse ways to go, Joe. Worse ways to go. But
you hadn't had it that long. You get used to it. Have you been getting sleep though?
Well, yes, when I use it, and I have been using it every day. But here's the problem: I haven't set a TV on upstairs yet, right? So like I sit here on my couch, and like last night I fell asleep watching Raw. And then all of a sudden, after I fell asleep watching Raw, I woke up at like 2:00 in the morning. So when I finally went upstairs, whatever sleep I got while I was waiting until like here downstairs in the couch isn't good sleep because I don't have the CPAP on.
Why don't you take the CPAP downstairs and put it on in case you fall asleep?
Because you want to know the real reason why? Because if I did that, I'd probably stop sleeping in my own bed. Because I'd fall asleep down here every night. you know. And the cool thing about the CPAP is like, okay, so before I had it, when I would go upstairs, let's say I go upstairs around midnight. Now I'm almost never in bed by midnight. Like even when I have to be up super early, I'm almost never in bed by midnight. I just can't do it. So let's say I go to bed at midnight and I try to wake up at like 7:50, which is when my alarm's set for. I'll go, like it used to be before the CPAP, I would wake up 4 or 5 times during the night, right? And my doctor actually said you would wake up 68 times or you would not breathe 68 times in the night. By the way, I had my first consultation afterwards, and the machine's saying that I'm only having 5 episodes per night now instead of 68.
Good.
Or 68 per hour, mind you.
Yeah, the more you use it, the better I get.
Well, I mean, like going from 68 to 5, I'll take that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but Joe, you work like super early. So saying that
you can be in bed by 9, Joe, because you're up with us every Tuesday until about 11:30.
No, he's in bed right now. So all right. So anything else happen with you this week?
That, and I'm supposed to have a show Saturday, but if all this doesn't clear up, and I was telling Nicole, man, I've been doing this here locally for over 20 years, and I've never, ever called out a show or canceled a show. The only time I did, and I had somebody sit in for me, is when Nicole's brother passed, and that's the only time I've ever missed a show.
Yeah.
But if this doesn't clear up, I'm like, eh.
Well, I mean, yeah. Hopefully, you'll be able to get some actual rest and sleep a full night, because that'll probably take care of most of it for you.
I'm hoping.
So this past week.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Because he'll kill me, because sometimes he watches Baby Seamus. My son, his birthday's Friday. He'll be 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. Right?
Dude, I was just thinking about that. So
he just turned 22 in the 4th.
So I know. And she's starting her senior year of college.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so crazy, man. Because like I'm thinking about
before all this.
Go ahead.
You knew me before all this.
I know.
That's the crazy part. So you watched it.
Yeah. And I was literally having this conversation with my brother-in-law Shane last night, because he was in town for like one night, so we went and grabbed dinner. I mentioned that I was talking to him about Edge, right? And not Edge the wrestler, but Edge, one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how he's got 3 kids, right? And like all of them are like almost out of the house now. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I've known Edge for like 16 years. And like, as far as I can remember, all of his kids were walking when I met him. So like, they've all got to be like 18 now, you know, like, and I'll find out the exact ages, but I think 2 of them are around or over 20. And I think Christopher is youngest is like 17 years old at this point.
Wow.
And that's just nuts to me to think like, and I'm thinking Christopher's got to be even older than that, because I swear he was walking when I met him.
I didn't even realize he had kids that old.
Well, he's got 3 of them. Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, he had 3 like really quick. And all with his first wife. So like, you know, I think one of them is actually like a retail assistant manager at somewhere at this point. Another one's actually doing their own thing. And like I said, Christopher's doing his own thing now. Like Chris is even saying that he's going to bring Christopher out to sing karaoke, because Christopher plays the guitar and everything now. So it's kind of nuts. So this past week, you know, I always talk about what's going on with comics with me. Got to see the first 2 pages of the new Immortal book. So they're now completely penciled and inked. So I'm pretty excited about that, because it means we're actually moving along and getting this book ready to come out. So I'm going to have Rob Nico actually drop the black and white pages into a Dropbox, and I'm going to start doing coloring on them, so that way we can keep the process moving even faster. So there's that. Did a little bit more with Witch in the Walls. Don't know when I'm going to launch that or anything, because like I have an artist in mind for it, so we'll see where that goes. But one of the things I started doing this week, Tino, have you heard of Alpha Brain?
No, but I saw it on your Facebook, I think.
So I've now been taking it for 6 days, because tomorrow will be the 7th day that I've taken it. And first couple days, I didn't really notice any difference. Like, I took it and I was like, yeah, okay, everyone says this stuff works pretty fast. And what it's supposed to do is help give you clarity and focus, and also help with your memory. Okay. So Steve Austin used to take it. I don't know if he still does. I know Joe Rogan takes it. But a lot of like podcasters and stuff obviously are they have a contract with Onnit, the company that makes it, to sit there and talk about it and whatever. But the reviews on it are excellent. So I started taking it, and the first couple days, I was going through some personal things past couple weeks, and it helped the focus, but it helped the focus on the wrong shit. It was like I can't get my mind off of this. What the fuck's going on? But now it's almost like the clarity of mind and stuff when I'm on it is. I'll give you an example. Okay, I have my blood pressure reader at my work desk. Okay, and I check my blood pressure 2 times a day, just because, like a couple weeks ago, I was waking up with anxiety and stuff, and I was like, okay, like why is my heart beating so fast? And no, not AG1. I'm not taking that yet. Although I did look it up, Chris Barrett. And it's not the mushroom coffee either. This is a pill. You take 2 of them a day, and it just helps clear get you focused on things. But AG1 I was thinking about getting because apparently it's got like 75 vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all this type of stuff in it that you're supposed to take. It's called Athletic Green, so it's got like even like daily vegetable allotments and stuff in it, because you basically drink this green concoction. And Chris Barrett's right, it's effing expensive. However, you get like a 30-day supply and you take it once a day, and it's, I don't know, $50 or whatever. But the Alpha Brain is a 45-day supply, and Amazon had it for $55. So I was like, I'll try it, even though like when I went to Onnit's website, it was like $90 for the same thing, right? So Amazon had it for almost half off. Anyways, so I started taking it, and like when I checked my blood pressure yesterday, about 15 minutes after taking it, okay, my blood pressure reader also has a heart monitor on it. My watch also has a heart monitor, so I can double check to make sure, okay, is it right, is it wrong, whatever. Well, I was like sitting there and I was so focused on doing work, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and check my blood pressure. Well, I checked my blood pressure, and Tino, it was like 105 over like 62, which is super low. And my heart rate on the heart rate monitor said it was 43.
The hell?
So I'm going to tell you, the heart rate monitor wasn't right, because when I looked at my watch said that I was at like 55. Okay. 55 is still super low. But I basically took it as, when that stuff like kicked in, it was like you're in like a Zen moment right there, and everything just like slows down, and I was shocked by it. Now, when I checked again at lunchtime or whatever, my heart rate was back to 70 something, and my blood pressure was like 115 over 78. So I mean, it was perfectly fine. But yeah. And then today when I checked it again, my heart rate was again like 15 minutes after taking the supplement, my heart rate was down to like 58 beats a minute, and I'm like, I don't know if it's supposed to do that. But I was okay with it, because like recently I felt like there's certain times where my heart just feels like it's pounding, and not because of anxiety. I don't think it probably is anxiety, but like it'd be like, and it didn't feel like it was beating at a normal regular beat. It didn't feel like boom 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 boom. It felt like it was, and then all of a sudden it would just stop and just be normal again, and I'd be like, okay, that doesn't seem right. So, but the AG1, or not the AG1, but the Alpha Brain seems to be working. Like, it's got me sitting there thinking more clearly, wanting to get more writing done and do stuff like that. So I mean, like it's really helping while I'm at my day job. So I'm not telling Onnit that they need to sponsor our show or anything like that yet, but I am gonna sit there and do the entire 45-day supply, see if I still like it at that point. But it's pretty impressive so far. So And then other than that, like I said, my brother-in-law came into town this past yesterday. Had dinner with him. He was telling me all about his job and how like they gave a merit increase, and he was very disappointed based on his quotas and everything that he hits and whatever. Not really going to go into his work or anything like that, but and then hung out with a bunch of the people that I knew from when I worked at GameStop. And I don't know if you saw, but Diamond Distribution, the people that actually distribute my comic books, the comic book stores, are suing GameStop for $2.8 million.
Why?
So they offer products, and Chris Barrett probably knows more about this than I do even. They offer products called Diamond Select collectibles. Okay. So like statues of Marvel characters, DC characters, all this different stuff. And GameStop ordered $2.8 million worth of product. And then they decided they wanted to try to cancel the orders. Now, because Diamond sends off to get these products made, they have to pay a certain amount up front to get them made based on the orders that they actually received. So Diamond's sitting there saying that they actually ordered and paid for this stuff. Yeah, basically toys. Yeah, absolutely. But so Diamond's saying they've already put down deposits to start making all of this stuff, and GameStop sent them a cancellation. And now they're like, yeah, because we already paid for a bunch of this, you guys are going to have to pay up. So can't really say I blame them for that. Yeah, just like comic book stores say. Yep, absolutely, Michael. So Tino, I know you're not feeling well, and I know that at this rate you're going to be up at 2:00 in the morning anyway. So you actually want to make this a short night. I'm not going to sit here and keep us on talking about us. Nothing really else going on, except I may start video game streaming because a bunch of people were telling me I should. I see that we have another person in the audience. Don't know who it is. Let's see. If you're in the audience and you want to say hi, please do. We love hearing from everybody that's out there watching the show. But there was a lot of stuff that happened in pro wrestling this week, Tino. A lot of pro wrestling stuff. And I do one last thing on the What's Up With You. I do want to go ahead and give a shout out to the Psychotron Indiegogo, already hitting its goal after the first like six hours, I think. So Eric Kent, the guy who drew Junior High Horrors, is working on that title with a guy by the name of Doug Garrett. So I like giving them their props. So good on them for doing that. The Kickstarter, I believe, is actually going to launch this week. So they've got 2 different programs going on to try to get as much in terms of people picking that title up. And then after that, Eric's going to start working on Stonkered. So, the first issue of that script about my pro wrestler in space is already written. So we're moving forward with that project too. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into Tino. Did you watch anything on NXT 2.0?
Wasn't that the heat wave or whatever they were trying to do, where they were putting the I think Mandy Rose defended her title against Zoe Stark, and she retained.
Yes, she did. And apparently Zoe Stark got hurt.
Yes.
And she wasn't able to participate in the tag team title match on Smackdown. And I don't know if you noticed, Tino, like does NXT still have women's tag team titles? Yes, they do. They do, because it was Catanzaro and but now it sounds like they after this tournament's over, they may combine them again because Corey Graves definitely made note that the women's tag team titles can be defended on any brand.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling they're going to make that set of titles go away.
Or they could defend them on NXT with a different group of girls who are ready to come up.
Anything's possible. But I will say that oh, by the way, I do know that NXT 2.0's Heat Wave last week was the highest watched show or most watched show for NXT in like 6 months.
Wow.
So So Triple H and Shawn Michaels being in charge of NXT overall again. I've even noticed that there is a lot more cohesion between SmackDown, Raw, and NXT in terms of talking about NXT, which will, in fact, get more eyes on the product. So, and it also sounds like BG James, also known as Brian James, has been rehired by the WWE to be back in the creative process. And
Shawn Michaels got a promotion too, did he?
He did. Shawn Michaels is now the vice president of talent development for WWE, and it was the first time that he was actually acknowledged as that as well. So good on Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
Sounds like he's bringing all the DX boys back together.
60-year-old Heartbreak Kid.
He's getting DX back together.
He's the Heartbreak Kid at heart now. He's not even. Chris Barrett, that's awesome.
What's his name? Braun Breaker defended his title. I did like the match with the
North American title.
That was a good match. That was a good match. It was
and
better.
Carmelo retained.
Yeah, and that new guy,
he was going to.
Venti, whatever. He was good. And Santos, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, Santos Escobar is now banned from NXT, isn't he?
Yeah, and there's looks like that the rest of Legado Fantasma is not moving up with them, so they're staying behind. They'll
make their way up at some point. You know, you can't have everybody on Raw and SmackDown and nobody on NXT, right? One downside note to the NXT brand overall was the shutting down of NXT UK this week.
Yeah, it was all those. Yeah, and that was wondering because you noticed that. I don't know if you watched Heat Wave. They were all there. All of a sudden, all these UK people were there. I didn't know why until I saw that the next day.
Well, because the other side of that is that they did say that they're going to do another Worlds Collide. So it'll be the last presentation of the UK guys. They did release 14 talents. All of them had nothing but great things to say. And I think that the reason why was because WWE did make intentions known of rebranding to NXT Europe next year. Now, however, it will be next year before the launch. So they are taking time away. They're gonna save money by not having talent under contract right now. But a lot of people think that the reason why these folks were actually let out of their contract is because they were not willing to move to the United States. You know, because then they'd be able to join the NXT brand. So it's disappointing, especially when you see that they're hiring certain people back. This is almost like that. Hey, we're going to release all these people, but all of a sudden Brock Lesnar comes back. You know, like, and we go, well, now we know where all that money went. It all went to Brock, and you know, I don't want to say anything about the talent that they have brought back so far, because so far I would say all the talent has actually performed at a top-notch level, and he's definitely pushing them to the moon on the upper programs at this point. So it's interesting. But like I said, it's a little disappointing. You know, like guys like Ilya Dragunov, I did not see on that list of people that were released. So I assume he'll be in NXT here shortly. I did also see something that Pete Dunne changed his name on Twitter back to Pete Butch Dunne. And if you remember, I even said when he first showed up on SmackDown that them calling him Butch sounded more like a nickname than it did actually like what they were going to call him. Unfortunately, Vince went with the name change completely, but I have a feeling he's going to be Pete Dunne again here shortly.
You think he'll go back to the caveman outfit, or you think he'll keep the Newsies outfit?
You mean the Mae Young outfit?
Whatever.
I don't know. I would rather he did not. You know, like I don't know what all those former NXT UK guys are doing to get themselves into the shape that they are. But like, you know, Gunter at this point is manorexic.
Pete Dunne lost all that weight too.
Yeah, exactly. Pete Dunne used to look like Mae Young, and now he looks like, an emaciated Mae Young.
I don't agree with you, Chris Barrett.
What did he say?
The only talent that they brought back that they shouldn't have is Hit Row.
So I watched, we'll get to SmackDown, but I just in general, I will say that when they brought them back, I was a little apprehensive about it, and a lot of people seem to think that, and I'm going to say this because it was Terrence and CJ that were saying this, so I'm going on good authority here that they say that there always has to be an urban tag team, and with all the rumors that they're going to break up Montez and Dawkins, I would say that there's a good possibility that this now fits that bill there, right? But all I'll say about them before we actually get to talking about SmackDown is that when they did their little concert, I mean, it gave me shades of when they used to have R-Truth come out and do that kind of thing, and it almost made me think that R-Truth at some point might end up being their manager.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I could see R-Truth wanting to be part of the group and then beating him down.
It depends on if they're going to be heel or face. If they're heels, yeah.
Well, right now I would say, I can't tell what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They hadn't shaken out. It's only their second time, so I'm waiting to see what they're going to do with them. But yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
So, anything else to talk about when it comes to NXT?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I don't really have anything. AEW Dynamite started. Fire, man. You had Moxley face off against CM Punk. Actually, you had CM Punk come out.
The pipe bomb. I mean, like,
well, I even have this right here already ready to go.
And I can't tell if it's a shoot or if it was a work, because he just, for no reason, Hangman wasn't even there, and he took a shot at Hangman, telling me
and exactly. Well, so did you hear the whole rumor on that?
Because apparently Hangman talked down to him about him while he was out.
So Hangman apparently went into business for himself when they were having that stare down, and he basically said that Punk wasn't anything special. And apparently Punk went backstage after that promo and said, "I am not losing at the pay-per-view." So, now so Punk and Moxley was supposed to be the headliner for the pay-per-view
in Chicago.
Now, in Chicago, Tino, CM Punk can't lose.
That's right.
It's like Superman in Metropolis. He's going to come back and win. What's funny, though, is that they're in Cleveland tomorrow night, and that's where they're going to have the unification match, and Jon Moxley's from 100 miles down the road in Cincinnati. So I have to wonder. The rumor is that CM Punk was upset backstage, had a closed-door meeting with Tony Khan. Nobody knows what was really discussed there, except it sounds like Tony Khan's all of a sudden starting to come up with new ideas about who's supposed to be champion and what they're going to be doing. He got killed, but he still won, Chris Barrett. Remember, November's the 30th anniversary of that. But so now I have to wonder, Tino. That you have probably the biggest match that you could possibly put on at your pay-per-view, Moxley and Punk for the unification of the titles, right? So why the hell do you put it on free TV a week and a half before the pay-per-view?
Because the word Punk's not going to show up or not going to do his part. He's going to take his ball and go home.
Well, except in Chicago, he's already home. So you would think that he's willing to do whatever is necessary. The problem is that whatever is necessary is he assumes he's going to win. I think the reason why they do it is because you're kind of onto something there. I think that what they are worried about is CM Punk actually going into business for himself and causing a riot in Chicago, like a literal riot. Because if CM Punk goes in with the title and does not walk out with the title in Chicago, there's no telling what those people in the Rosemont Horizon or wherever they're going to be are going to do.
You think?
Yes.
Right.
Especially if CM Punk is given a microphone beforehand and is allowed to pull like an MJF pipe bomb. So I think what they're worried. I think it is something that they're worried about. Or there's one other possibility now. Now that he's called out Hangman Page,
he comes out and interferes.
They could make not even an interference. Punk ends up winning that match, and then Hangman comes down and points at the belt, and they've got the second biggest main event that they could possibly have.
It sounds like Heyman didn't have a rematch yet, has he?
Nope. But AEW doesn't always give you a rematch.
But that'd be a way for them to.
Well, yeah, but Moxley versus Jericho 2 just happened last week or 2 weeks ago.
I don't think Michael Turner said, "Do you see MJF coming back and make it a 3-0 with Punk and Mox?" I don't think so.
No, I don't see that happening, Michael. But I could see where MJF ends up walking out after whoever wins the match at the pay-per-view because like, what else do they got? Like, have they even announced matches for this pay-per-view yet? It's like a week and a half away.
I think they got the women's match. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
and let's be real. AEW was on such a run for such a long time that they had built their storylines and everything else, but now all of a sudden it sounds like all their storylines are going out the window, and they're like, we got a pay-per-view in 3 weeks, and what the hell do we do? Like we thought we had a pay-per-view main event, which by the way, this entire pay-per-view would have been sold on Punk Moxley.
Yeah.
And that's all they would have had to do. So the fact that that's not what they're doing is,
unless something goes wrong tomorrow night and they end up still having that match at the pay-per-view.
I mean, it's possible. They could end up having a false finish or something. Like a dusty finish. Like, it's possible, but that's something that AEW tries not to do. So who knows? But I find it really interesting that, like, they're now saying that a year into CM Punk being there, he's all of a sudden difficult to work with, and he's difficult backstage, and he's going into business for himself. Like,
you didn't know that
the
before?
honeymoon's over.
Yeah.
Like, and even if it's a work, the fact that they're working the fans like that is saying something. Because I'm going to tell you, like, I talk about Busted Open from time to time. Well, in Busted Open, Bully Ray said that CM Punk and Jon Moxley do not like each other in real life. And if the two of them don't like each other in real life, it's going to be a really interesting, hard-hitting match that they're going to have.
Oh, yeah.
So,
each other.
Anything else you want to talk about with Dynamite?
Nope.
We got the return of Kenny Omega. Apparently he's still hurt, and that's why he wore that weird sleeve thing.
So if he's still hurt and you're gonna try to go on the trios match.
Yeah, I mean, he can protect himself in a trios match. So,
yeah.
And then I don't even remember what the main event was. Yeah. Anyways, Smackdown, Tino, emanated from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, home,
dude,
of the honorary Oos.
Dude, when he came out to that gave me.
Hold on, let's start early in the show. He's walking up, and the guy outside Roman Reigns' door sits there and says, "Roman wants to talk to you." And he goes, "He wants to talk to me? He wants to talk to me?" And he goes in and he sits down and he's like, "Sammy, why don't you you doing okay? You doing good?" So yeah. Well, I'm a little bit upset with Jay. And he's like, "Oh, really? What? Why are you upset with Jay?" And he's like, "Well, because I've been representing the bloodline, and like Jay and Jimmy aren't even here tonight. Like what's going on?" And
they're always yelling at me. They're always yelling at me.
They're always yelling at me, and like, making me feel like I'm not really part of this. And then of course, you know, Roman walks away for a second, the phone rings, and he goes, "Who is it?" And he goes, It's oh man, it's Jay." And he goes, "Well, answer it." And he's like, "You want me to answer your phone?" And he's like, "Phone of the tribal Roman Reigns' phone." But what I loved about that segment, Tino, is that I don't think it was scripted. Okay, I think they had their bullet points.
I like that. To go back when Roman was still sitting on the couch, we talked about it, and I think we talked about it because Stone Cold talked about it. The facial expressions when he was like, and Jimmy, he's just, we say he's ungrateful or something, and then Roman just kind of looked down. And then Sammy's like, you start making that face like, oh, trying to backpedal. And
then Roman was like,
"You know what? Well, yeah, you're right."
And he's like, "I'm right. I'm right." Oh, but my favorite part about that interaction was, "Hey, you still good with KO? Your boy Kevin Owens?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, me and Kevin, we're real good." He's like, "Will you tell Kevin that the tribal chief don't owe nobody nothing? He never owes anybody nothing. I'm the tribal chief. I'm the head of the team. I don't owe people nothing." And then Sammy's like, well, you know, we're not really that close because like Kevin's been on Raw and I'm on Smackdown and I lost my shit, dude. I was laughing so hard at that whole like interaction and then he's like, "All right, now Sammy, get out." And he's like, yeah, I got that match to get ready for. I should probably leave. But you're right, because later on in the evening, they did the 5-way match for the Intercontinental #1 contendership, and Sami Zayn got a Road Warriors pop. There is no other way to say it, folks. Like, he blew the roof off the Molson Center in Montreal. Like, the whole thing just exploded. And that crowd was doing the ole, 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 ole. Sammy was doing his dance down to the ring because suddenly he was a babyface again, even though he hadn't been a babyface in like 2 years.
They were booing the shit out of Ricochet. They were doing that whole when him and Ricochet were going, "Boo, yeah, boo, yeah."
Well, and that happened every time somebody hit Sammy. And when Sammy got hurt and Sammy's like heading to the back, all of a sudden it's we want Sammy. We want Sammy. We want Sammy. And damn it, if Sami Zayn didn't have his Mankind after being thrown off the top of the cell moment, because when he started coming back down to the ring, that place exploded even louder the second time. And interestingly enough, the person that got the most over in that moment was Baron Corbin.
Why you say that?
Because
no shirt.
Nobody has been booed like that in years. He literally got booed out of the building, and Corbin just had this shit-eating grin across his face, like, "I just ruined your boy's homecoming. Fuck all of you." And damn it if he didn't become the biggest heel in the business that night. Like, straight up the biggest heel in the business. And then, of course, Sheamus gets the victory there. And let's be real. Sheamus is from Ireland, right?
Right.
So if you're gonna do something in the UK, and you're gonna and you want to see someone get a huge pop, Sheamus wrestling in that building is going to get an amazing pop.
I was almost hoping to be Sammy though.
Well, and here's what I want to say about that. Remember how Roman doesn't owe nobody nothing?
Right.
What happened?
He owes Sammy now.
He
owes Sammy now.
Sami Zayn took another Claymore kick for the Usos and the Usos, if you will. Like the tribal chief may actually owe him something. So I think this Friday night on SmackDown, you're going to see Adam Pearce leaving Roman Reigns' office, and Adam Pearce is going to come out and be like, due to da-da-da-da-da, he's going to say something, and he's going to add Sami Zayn to that match.
Okay.
You know, and then Roman will be like, "See what I did for you, Sammy? I did that for you.
Yeah, but
Not because the tribal chief owed you anything, but because the tribal chief wanted to reward you."
Yeah. What else happened on SmackDown?
Ronda Rousey came out again, got arrested. Liv Morgan got one up on Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
Don't know how that's possible when Shayna Baszler almost broke her arm like 4 times. Got the next match in the women's tag team.
That's what I wanted to say. Now all of a sudden, the Toxic Attraction won that match, but now one of them's hurt, so now they gotta have another.
Dolan got hurt. Yeah.
When did she get hurt? Did she?
I want to say they said she got a concussion during the match. So
they were replacing
the other NXT tag team.
Yeah, I'm like,
which is funny. Why didn't they just put the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions in it instead?
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's about all that happened on SmackDown. We got Drew McIntyre coming out and talking to Roman again, and that led to the Claymore to Sammy. But backstage, when Drew was getting ready to come out, he grabbed his jacket, and there was the timepiece, the hourglass. So I mean, all in all, and then Hit Row had their concert.
Yes. So
all in all, I mean, I thought it was a pretty darn good SmackDown, like solid B+ show. And Sammy was A++ all night long. And interestingly enough, did you hear what happened after the show went off the air?
No.
So Riddle came down. Riddle's addressing the crowd. He's getting babyface pops and everything. And Kevin Owens comes down, because Kevin Owens is also from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And he sits there, and Riddle causes these two to sit there and stare at each other. They're staring each other down and everything. And then all of a sudden, they hug each other in the middle of the ring, and the place explodes.
Who's Sammy and Kevin?
Sammy and Kevin.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was pretty awesome. I didn't watch Rampage.
I only watched it because I wanted to see what Hook was going to do, and he just walked in. Dude tried to.
He TCB'd pretty quick, didn't he?
Like 3 seconds. Like, dude grabbed him, Hook reversed it into the red rum, and it was over.
Yeah. So I mean, like, that's all that.
And Swerve in Our Glory beat Private Party. Oh, was it on Dynamite or Rampage where the Ass Boys turned on Papa Billy?
Oh, that was on Dynamite.
Yeah, the Ass Boys turned on Billy Gunn, and they were about to fuck him up with it. They were about to hit him with a chair, and then the Acclaim came down and saved him, and he got up. They
scissored.
Yeah.
So all right.
I'm waiting to see how that's going to play out. A lot of shit.
Whew.
A lot of shit. Starts off with a brawl. That's how you do
3 fucking hours of wrestling.
Starts off with a brawl, and like it was cohesive because that carried on throughout the night. All of a sudden they'd be Seth they found each other again. Seth and Riddle are at it again. So that, yeah, you're right. That's how you do 3 hours. They had Trish Stratus.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you noticed, but if you're a baby face and Trish Stratus comes out to sit there and talk down the heels, you're losing your match, apparently. Like, it happened both times. Both times.
No, Asuka, no, Bailey and her girls won.
Right. Who did Trish Stratus talk down to?
Oh, I thought you meant that.
No. Trish is a baby face. So Trish comes out with Asuka, Bianca, and Alexa, and Asuka and Alexa, 2 main event women, lose to 2 nobodies.
Yeah.
and it was clean.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because it wasn't
no interference.
It wasn't interference, and it wasn't a distraction. It was the classic. She didn't see the tag, which is okay.
Okay with that.
But I'm sorely disappointed. I get that you want to make these two women into something special really quick. So why not have them be two of your highest ranking women, right? I get it. It just seems like it didn't fit. Now with this tag team tournament and everything, it did, and it's just really making me think it's going to lead directly to Naomi and Sasha coming back after Dakota Kai and Io Sky win these tag team belts, because Naomi and Sasha coming down to the ring and holding their belts up and having Bayley come in and trying to keep everybody away from each other just seems like it's an image at a pay-per-view that people are going to want to see.
I think Naomi and Sasha left the belts. I don't think they left
it doesn't matter that they left them. They'll still come out with their belts.
It doesn't make any sense.
Sure it would. They'd be like,
if they walked out without the belts, what the fuck they get the belts?
What?
If they left the building without the belts,
nobody's going to remember that they left the building without the belts. They're going to show up. They're going to have two belts. They're going to hold them up, and they're going to be two other belts that are being held up. And it's going to be like, oh my God, folks, we're going to have a blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Naomi and Sasha have the toy belts. Well, I can tell you this: Johnny Ace didn't keep those belts because he's no longer in the building. But yeah, so okay, so you get that match. Trish comes out. Trish, almost like it's leading to Trish versus Bayley at some point, and I'm okay with that.
Okay,
I'm okay with that. After that, we get Dolph Ziggler versus Finn Balor. Hell of a match. There was one moment where you could tell timing was off, and that's when Dolph was at the ropes and Rhea Ripley's supposed to do something to him, and he has to wait for her. And then she finally gets him and knocks him down or whatever, and then Finn wins the match. But otherwise, I mean, like, the bump machine is still the bump machine, and now Judgment Day is finally getting its comeuppance and starting to win matches and stuff. So like good booking is what I'm thinking. Okay. Like Dolph instantly can be relevant again as soon as they want him to, but more than anything else, even losing this match, he looked better than he has in months. We went from that to then we ended up getting, Kevin Owens versus Chad Gable.
Chad.
And I'm sorry, I should have said it as Chad Gable holding an Alpha Academy Open Challenge in Toronto.
Thank you.
And he's like, "Shoosh, shoosh, please, shoosh."
He said, "Whoever wants to come out," and nobody came. He goes, "That's what I thought. Nobody." Did you notice? I looked on the Titantron. That was his old entrance movie.
Well,
and it's one of the old Kevin Owens.
It wasn't an old shirt.
It wasn't an old shirt, but it wasn't the one he's been
with. But it was the NXT Prize Fighter KO. Yeah. It was the duct tape design, but on the back of it, you could tell it was a brand new shirt. You know, because it had like 3 different things on it. Interestingly enough, when you watch the match too, while they were brawling, Kevin Owens was way ahead. When they started going to wrestling, Chad Gable put together like Kurt Angle like moves. And then after that, like, then KO came back and KO, got the victory. And interestingly enough, not with the stunner, but with the pop-up powerbomb. And then when Otis came into the ring to attack him, he gave him a stunner. And Otis sold the stunner really well too. I was impressed.
And then they powerbombed Gable on top of Otis.
Powerbombed him on top of him. And it's interesting booking because the week before KO was a complete heel. This week KO was babyface, and you knew he was going to get babyface popped anyway, just because they were in Toronto. So it was interesting, and it was an interesting choice because now I think that you could totally put KO into his own realm as being a tweener. He's going to get cheered regardless. He's going to do dastardly shit. But you put him up against heels, and he's going to be the babyface. You put him up against babyface, he's going to be the heel. So, like, it's literally like when Stone Cold Steve Austin was first starting. And, you know, it's funny because it's when Brian Pillman came out and he's like, "Hey kid, why are you trying to be baby?" And he's like, what you talking about? I'm not being baby. I'm a heel. I've always been a heel. I'm not a baby. He's like, "Kid, you're being a baby. You're being baby out there."
Why does your Stone Cold and your Brian Pillman sound the same? Well,
because Brian Pillman actually was the first guy that sounded like that, and then Stone Cold started sounding like that. But it's been 30 years since I've seen Brian Pillman. I don't know what he sounds like at this point. So
neither does anybody.
But, well, exactly. After that, we ended up having AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley versus Miz and Theory. That was the next match. I think I'm in order, but if I'm not, like these are the matches in the way I want to talk about them. Dude, when they started that match and AJ and Bobby went for the vertical suplex and AJ let go and walked out of it, I was like, I have never seen that before. That was fucking awesome. Amazing.
He just walked out and got right in the Miz's face, and Miz backed out of the ring. That was awesome.
It was fucking amazing. I've never seen that before. And Bobby's just holding Ciampa up there like, hey.
And then he let go and he did the whole with one hand. He was like,
and it was during this match that I realized something, that the WWE has upgraded their production value again. And it's because the barricade on the TV side now, so on the one that you can see from the TV, now has the LED flashboards going across the entire thing. And I noticed it because I saw Lashley's name come across it, and I was like, when the fuck did they do that? Because I mean, people will be outside the ring throwing people into those.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that now you're not going to see people getting thrown into that side of the ring, and you'll just see them getting thrown in over at like the timekeepers area or whatever, because now they have an entire TV board going right there.
Which you don't want to do that.
I mean, I can't imagine what that shit costs. But like I said, added to production value. And every year they sit there and they go, okay, what can we add this year? And then they add something. But I was still impressed by it. Weird. All of a sudden somebody tries to attack AJ Styles. Couldn't tell who it was. Don't know. Apparently it might have just been a plant to make people think, don't look at that or whatever. And then, of course, immediately after, Dexter Lumis grabs The Miz and speaks out with The Miz. Now, I want to know how Dexter Lumis got across the border.
There was no sneaking out with The Miz. He was
dragging The Miz. Like I said, I want to know how Dexter Lumis got across the border.
Why?
But because doesn't that just seem weird that some guy that's like, like stalking people in the WWE can get across the border and still get into the arena? Sorry, I'm breaking kayfabe there. The guy who attacked AJ was some indie J-bro, maybe, or he could have been an NXT wrestler that they're thinking about bringing up at some point. But regardless of that, the Dexter Lumis thing, everybody thought he was coming after AJ. Now it turns out he's going after The Miz. So that'll be interesting. It'll also allow Ciampa to break away from The Miz, which I'm okay with as well. But I almost think that they're going to rehash the Dexter Lumis Theory thing from NXT with The Miz. Yeah. Well, remember how he kidnapped him?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what they're rehashing that storyline with him. It was confirmed that the guy who attacked was just an idiot. Okay, well that's fine. I hadn't paid that much attention. After that, Trish Stratus tells everybody that Aaliyah is gonna beat Bayley. So again, don't have Trish Stratus come out and speak for you because you're not gonna win your match after that. And she didn't. But then we went to commercial break. And hold on. When we came back from commercial break, Tino.
That's enough. You're gonna get a suit, right?
What's that?
That's enough. You're gonna get a suit.
You're right. I can only go like 10 seconds without the lawsuit. So yeah, out of nowhere, the screen just says Gargano. That music hits, and Toronto explodes.
I don't think it's Gargano for the music hit, and then whatever his logo is, the smiley face that came on. Then it said Gargano.
Yeah, but you could tell that like production wasn't even involved in like, Triple H was like, hey, get a graphic up there and get it up there now, like because nobody knew he was there. Yeah. Like apparently they kept it to like 5 total people knew that Gargano was in the building, and Gargano was one of them. So and then I was just gonna say, well, go ahead. Go ahead. You
I was gonna say then Theory came down.
Come on, man. Give Johnny his due. Johnny comes out, and I don't like the Theory thing. Yes, we all knew somebody was going to interrupt him, and it's perfect that it was Theory. But Johnny comes out, and Johnny has that heartfelt moment of, when I won the NXT World Title was right here in this building. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, Toronto was the perfect city to bring Johnny Gargano back. Okay? And here's why. Because that crowd remembered him. That crowd was excited for him. And the number one problem we always have with NXT guys being called up to the WWE main roster is that there wasn't enough cohesion, so these guys weren't known, right? Johnny was known in Toronto last night. When Johnny came out and Johnny did his speech, he thanked everybody because he was like, I didn't think you'd remember me. And I think that was actually a dig towards the NXT guys being called up, but also the fact that Johnny's been gone for 9 months, right? But then, Johnny even got a chant going for baby wrestling. And I thought it was great that he's like, yeah, we even had a kid, baby wrestling. And then the crowd started chanting baby wrestling, and he's like, that's right. Let's hashtag baby wrestling. Let's get that trending, And yes, then Theory came out. And Theory said, hey, I can even teach you the way. And Johnny, it even seems like at this point, I've accomplished everything you wanted to. So maybe you start carrying my bags to the arena, and maybe you start doing this for me, and maybe and I'm going to tell you, what happened. They actually went for this, and Johnny super kicked him.
He kicked the shit out of him.
But what did he do immediately after the super kick?
He goes, isn't that how we used to do it?
No. That was after he got out of the ring. What did he do immediately after the super kick? Oh. It was shades of Shawn Michaels, man. He was bouncing on the one leg, dancing and it literally was the Shawn Michaels after, super arrogant Shawn Michaels after he'd super kicked somebody that wasn't expecting it. He would do that little shimmy, and then he'd hop out of the ring, and he'd be like, and that's exactly what Johnny did. Johnny emulated Shawn Michaels last night, and it was his barbershop moment. Kicking Theory like that.
I can see that.
And you'll be happy to know Johnny got to keep his music.
Yeah.
But what's the trend with all these pro wrestlers making their re-debut wearing a white T-shirt.
What are you talking about?
Well, when Bryan Danielson showed up in AEW, he had a white T-shirt. When Claudio Castagnoli showed up, he had a white T-shirt. When Johnny Gargano shows up, he's wearing a white T-shirt. Like, what's this whole thing of just wearing a white T-shirt?
There's probably no thought put into it.
Well, they hadn't made any merch yet for him, but I was surprised he wasn't wearing a baby wrestling shirt. Yeah. If he knew he was going to try to get that over. What did you think of Johnny showing up on Monday night?
I was surprised, and I was wondering. We talked about this before. Is he going to be the one? Because right now I think everybody's in agreement that dumbass isn't ready for a title shot yet, so they put it on to Johnny.
I literally thought that when Austin held it out, that Johnny was going to take it. And after he super kicked him, I really wanted Johnny to walk over, grab the briefcase, and walk out with it.
That's what I thought he was going to do, or at least pick it up, look at it, then throw it back down at him.
And maybe that's coming over the next couple weeks. But I did like that they immediately started this feud, because this is the kind of feud that we already know that Johnny's one of the 5 best wrestlers in the world, maybe 10. I don't want to take it away from Seth and those guys, but he's probably one of the top 10 in the world. Now he's on Raw, so he can actually have a match against like AJ Styles. He can have a match against Seth Rollins. He can have a match against The Miz, Cody Rhodes when Cody comes back. I mean, so like and let's be real. If they don't do a feud where Ciampa throws him out of the Royal Rumble, causing him not to get like a main event spot at WrestleMania, and they don't do Ciampa versus Johnny at WrestleMania, because that was feud of the year for 2 straight years. Like, if they don't do that, they are totally missing the point of what you're supposed to do. Like, they've given Sammy and Kevin a match at WrestleMania against each other, because they know that those guys are always going to be synonymous with each other. So, I mean, like, at this point, like, and you put it late on the card, or you put it first match on the card, those guys are going to try to steal the show.
Yeah.
So, and then they end the show with Edge versus Priest. Edge comes out to his old music. The Judgment Day comes out to new music. Plenty of times I thought Damian Priest was going to win this match. He threw Edge through a table, which they then went to Beth Phoenix in the audience, which kind of led to what ends up happening at the end of the night. So go ahead.
Oh, that was it. I mean, it was a pretty good match. But yes. Huh?
Did you think that there was a possibility that Beth was going to concertoing Edge at the end? Like, no. The fact that she just kept, like, she was standing so close to him, like, that's that moment where all of a sudden you're like, she's not going to turn on her hubby, is she? Like, she's not.
I didn't think she would, but I was wanting them to because I want to see a Beth and a Rhea go at it. And, like, without judgment, I don't want to see, as somebody put earlier, it'll be a mixed tag. I want to see one-on-one, because Beth's a strong bitch and Rhea's a strong. Just let them go at it.
I'm okay with them doing a mixed tag match with Damian and Edge as well. I mean,
yeah, as well. But I want to see these two one-on-one.
Well, you know what I'm thinking that they might be planning on doing again is another Evolution pay-per-view, because they brought Trish out. She's talking down to Bayley. They brought Beth out. She's talking down to Rhea. Like, suddenly I'm getting this feeling that there's going to be another Evolution pay-per-view. What do they call them now? Premium live events. It makes sense. Right now it would make a ton of sense to sit there and do that. And then, that's where you have Charlotte come back. Maybe have your main event be Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler at that event. Maybe have it be, Becky versus Ronda. I don't know, like whatever the case might be. Like, but you bring back Lita for it, maybe, so that way you have another thing. But
Hopefully
But I mean,
Becky will
you've
be back
got
in town.
enough female talent now to where you could put an entire pay-per-view on and you're not sitting there trying to hire people back or whatever. But I could also see them saying, all right, now we're gonna ask Lita and Renee Paquette to actually be the broadcast team for that. And I'd be fine with that. Or heck, Beth Phoenix is on the microphone until she has her match.
Well, Brandy apparently is under contract now too, with WWE. I think to wrestle.
Completely unnecessary.
Why?
She can't wrestle.
Neither can a lot of bitches. But Alexa Bliss ain't all that, but they let
Alexa
her
Bliss
wrestle.
is a 5-time women's champion.
Just because John Cena's a 16-time champion, don't mean he knows how to wrestle.
Shut up, Alexa. My Alexa went off because you said Alexa.
Like I said, Cena's been champ too. Don't mean he knows how to wrestle. Hulk Hogan was champion multiple times. Don't know how to wrestle. You know what I mean?
Dude, saying that John Cena doesn't know how to wrestle with as many 4-star and 5-star matches as that guy's had in his career. I mean, he had a good match against Khali. He's not a technical wrestler, and he's not snug when he puts on his submission hold. But that's not what wrestlers are anymore. They're sports entertainers. You know that as well as I do. Anyways, and Michael Turner says Bliss is awesome, bro. He's apparently been watching Vince Russo. So last thing I really want to dive into before we get off of here real quick. The A&E documentary on Edge. Did you watch it?
Yes.
Were you as surprised as me to see how much of it was AEW wrestlers? Christian was on that thing like half of the episode, man.
But I think that he had to be, though.
I know they are synonymous with each other, and absolutely, you're not wrong. But I mean, they had Mark Henry in it. They had him in it. Yeah. I was surprised Chris Jericho wasn't part of it.
I think did Jericho work with him?
Yeah. Jericho was Christian's tag team partner for a long time. So I know it didn't really have to do with Edge, but remember, Christian turned on Edge and went with Jericho and Trish Stratus at that one point.
But that was so small. I think they had the right people. The Foley thing, I didn't realize that till Beth said she was probably the biggest roadblock of him coming back, because he was like, I'm going back, and she's like, no, bitch, you're not. Sit down.
Yeah, especially after when you watch like the WWE 24, W365, whatever it was that they did that showed his coming back for the Royal Rumble and working with like Dash or Dax Harwood and Cash Wheel. Like the idea that Beth was so against it, and it's funny because they did bring up that he was doing like an episode of like Sheamus's podcast or YouTube show or whatever, and he fell off his bike, and he and Sheamus was like, "Are you okay, fella?" And he's like, "Yeah, I feel fine." And he got up and he just started riding the bike again or whatever. And you're like, here's a guy that was basically told something like that, you could die.
Yeah, because she said the doctor told him if he got rear-ended, he could die in a car accident.
And now you're seeing all these wrestlers come back after really bad injuries and everything else. I mean, Christian came back after multiple concussions. Bryan Danielson, obviously, although Bryan Danielson's still wrestling a style that like he's gonna have more concussions if he hasn't already had more concussions. But yeah, the Beth thing was pretty interesting to me too. The only other thing that was interesting to me really about it, like I really enjoyed the entire thing. It was nice seeing him like talk about like really early in his career and how he designed all his own gear, because they've gone over that multiple times, but they showing the old pictures and everything of like ring gear that he would create. That was really cool. But the one thing that really kind of surprised me was that they glazed over the Rated R Superstar. And
Lita and Matt Hardy thing.
Yeah, and that is such a big part of his career because that's what elevated him to that next level. and they didn't talk about that at all. And that's really where he became the guy in WWE, when he became the 8-time world champion.
Well, I also watched the what is it, the Rivals thing that they do on A&E, and
Right.
they did the one with him and John Cena, and they went into depth on that one with the Rated R Superstar and the whole Lita thing and da 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 da. And if you ever watched that show, you know one of the people at that table is one of Beth Phoenix, and so you know she had to be watching that shit like.
Well, it was before she was dating him. It was before they met each other.
I know.
But I mean, good on A&E for the broadcasting that they've been doing with this stuff. I didn't watch the DX one because I was like, why are they doing a biography on DX when they just did Shawn Michaels like 3 weeks ago?
Because it still has some different parts in it. It was good. I watched it.
Oh, I'm sure they do. And like next week, I guess it's Rey Mysterio. Yeah. So yeah. I would say if people aren't watching both of those shows, they definitely should, because they've been solid.
Did you watch the Bellas?
I did.
I was gonna watch that, and I watched it. I was like, wow.
You see how apprehensive and how much anxiety they went through and everything else because they had no idea what they were doing. They but I love how revisionist history happens. Like all of a sudden it's, we started wrestling with each other in the hotel room and everything else, and then we just loved it so much that we were there after hours every night. And it's like, I'd never heard this story before. I don't know if I believe this story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be really interesting to see who else they actually do with this stuff, because obviously they've done some WCW guys like Goldberg. They're doing Rey Mysterio, so that'll be really interesting to see him talk about when he was like a 14-year-old wrestler, I think. But I would like to see them actually start touching upon people like Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn, and actually talking about, because like you said a couple weeks ago when you watched the Stone Cold podcast or the Broken Skull sessions with Sami Zayn, you instantly gain more understanding of who he is, because he's never really had that moment to sit there and talk like that. And Austin sitting there talking about El Generico and everything else, and Sammy's talking about like the facial expressions and everything like under the mask, and he's like, I think I was just doing it under the mask. And it's like, well, that's why you get it, kid, but anyways, and them talking about the Jackass match at WrestleMania, like the fact that Sammy speaks so highly of it, and everybody was like, this is actually like dumb or whatever. And even when they went to the finish of the match, and Sammy's breaking kayfabe, sitting there talking about it, he's like, I got to give Johnny credit because the mousetrap broke, and Johnny had to do it by hand, and the only reason why he even knew to do that was because when we were practicing the match, he had the wherewithal to ask the guy who created the thing, what happens if anything goes wrong with this? Like, how do I manually release it? And they were like, oh, you do it like this. And without skipping a beat, he said, and for anybody that didn't watch that interview, like Sammy's like, we'd have been dead in the water.
Yep.
Like we'd have been dead in the water if he didn't have the wherewithal to sit there and continue going through it. So anyways, I don't really have anything else, Tino. It's been a fun show. We tried to keep, we kept it down to an hour and 15 minutes, 18 minutes.
That's cool. I like that.
So go ahead and take us home.
Excuse me. Yeah, starting. You can catch this. You can catch him on the Twitter machine. He is Rob. He is. I'm done.
All right. You can catch me on Twitter at Pochak, Instagram at Rob Pochak, at Rob Potsy Pochak, at Junior High Horrors, at Immortal the Comic. You can catch me on the TikTok at Rob Potsy Pochak, Facebook Rob Pochak. The show you can catch on Facebook at the Potsy and Tino Show. Tino is known as Hootie Fan 81 on on Twitter. What's
Pootie
that?
Fan 91.
91.
Yeah.
Pootie Fan 91 on Twitter. He's also SC Tino on Instagram. He is, I think, Tino R. Gray on TikTok. Obviously, you are watching the Potsy and Tino show right here. Give us a like. Go ahead and buy our shit.
Thank you.
Yeah. As
Adam's
always,
Housecat.
we want to thank Adam's Housecat for the wrestling song. No.
Do it.
For 99 cents.
Do
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
99.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. We want to thank everybody out in the audience. Like I said, give us a like. Go ahead and tell everybody about our show. Let's try to get some more people in here. We love the amount of interaction that you guys give us every week.
Barrett, Michael, Joe, thank you for hanging out.
Whoever the other people were that ended up popping in and out. We next couple weeks we'll probably be on, hopefully right around 8:00 on Tuesdays. And then so want to thank everybody, and I believe even after his final match somewhere in Charlotte, North Carolina, you can hear the Nature Boy, and he is going woo. Good night, everybody.
Thinking. Oh, yeah.